Welcome to Creative Takeover. We're recording today at Edenology. This is my co-host Arthur, and today we have Dustin.
Hello.
Do you want to introduce yourself, Dustin?
Yeah, Dustin Cunningham. I'm a new member of the Pikes Peak Art Council, local artist, instructor at Concrete Couch, and yeah.
Amazing.
Nice. We are very excited to have you here today.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys having me out today. Thank you.
Yeah. So our podcast is really centered around building communities. Our focus is to just kind of create this collaborative community amongst artists and really getting rid of this stigma that says artists have to be competitive. And so when you were sharing with me your story, I was immediately interested about hearing that, and that's part of the reason that you're here today.
Awesome.
So tell us, tell us at the beginning, like what got you into art?
For sure. Yeah. So as a kid, I was always interested in art. Kind of had, life got going and stopped doing art, started prioritizing all the other stuff, put that on the back burner. Ended up going through a really pretty ugly divorce. And at that point, I kind of realized that I needed some sort of outlet for all the feelings that I was having about that. Went back to art, found a lot of healing and connection with myself through being able to express like that. And have really just kind of turned my whole focus at this point into making art and supporting other people that are making art.
I love that.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like, Arthur, correct me if I'm wrong, kind of sounds like he's owning his impact.
He is really owning his impact, and I like the fact that you took something that's tragic in your life and you turned it into something productive, not just for you, but for other people. Like, that takes a lot.
Absolutely. I think that is one of the, if not the most important thing about art, is its ability to kind of transform a mental landscape into whatever you choose it to be. You can take something that is painful, unpleasant, and turn it into something positive for yourself and for your community.
And when you start rediscovering your love for art and channeling all these different emotions, was that a conscious thing, or you just looked up one day and you're like, I'm creating all this art and I'm not, going out doing bad things. I'm doing something constructive with my life, and this is working for me. Because with therapy, I tell people, you don't have to necessarily go to a counselor or a medicine woman or do any traditional, non-traditional things. You can find therapy that works for you.
Absolutely, 100%. So yeah, I really just kind of, at that point I was overwhelmed and I didn't know how to manage it, and I actually did have a really good therapist that I was working with at the time, but with that overwhelm of the emotions, man, it was hard to even talk about it sometimes. And so I started, just on my own, kind of doing art therapy without even realizing it at first. And I eventually showed some of the work to my therapist, and he broke it down the different ways I was doing really good art therapy, just kind of intuitively, based off of me feeling my space and seeing what I could do with it. And I was really excited about it because I had been feeling super lost and had a lot of doubt about my art and my creative practice, and to get that kind of confirmation that my instinct was the same direction that professionals would have put me in.
Yes. And that's something that's become so important to me in the art groups that I lead, is really just reminding people that we have the tools. It's good to have professional help with some of the unpacking, but we have the tools to start that therapeutic journey.
Absolutely, for sure. I think that is something that the empowerment that you can get from art is absolutely profound. That you don't need to rely on someone else to be able to do the work, and absolutely other people can aid in that process all along, but that everybody is born with the ability to do whatever they want, you know, and if there's something you want to change, you absolutely have the power to do that within yourself already.
we were talking to Jean earlier. You made the comment about everybody has that ability. And Jean was expressing, and I think I was sharing the sentiment of some people say, oh, I'm not artistic. And Jean was explaining how her belief is that we're all creative. It's just, how does that come out? And for some people, it's painting or sculptures like you do, but some people, it might be something totally different.
Yeah.
No, I agree, because you were telling me a while ago, before we started recording, that you don't just sculpt, you also dance, you do poetry, just different creative outlets to get whatever you need to get out.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. And you know, I think that just trusting yourself and, you know, trying as many different things as you can. Like drawing feels really good to me, and that is kind of how I started getting back into art. Is just drawing in a sketchbook, and that did feel good to me. And for a while, I just kind of stuck with that, and then I started seeing other opportunities and decided, hey, let me see how this feels to me. And there were some of those things that I ended up deciding weren't worth, you know, it wasn't resonant with me. I didn't want to keep doing that. But honestly, most of the stuff, I can find something about it that seems helpful, seems beneficial to me in kind of all of it. And you know, like we as humans, we're pretty complex creatures.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's no one right answer for everybody. There's no one right answer for one person also, you know. One person could find, you know, 100 ways to accomplish the same task.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like a cool book, like a cool self-help book. 100 ways to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. 100 ways to get it done for sure. Yeah.
Now, one thing I was wondering, when you're on this journey, and because art can be very personal, you know, they're very close to us. How was it for you when you decided, I'm going to share my work with the world? How scary was that?
Man, so last year, I decided to start really getting my art out there. Made a Instagram page dedicated to it. And at first, you know, I was really censoring a lot of the stuff that I was putting out, feeling nervous to kind of go all the way in and show the full depth of the work. I took a class at UCCS that was Spirituality in Contemporary Art.
Ooh.
And my instructor, as I was talking with him about my project for the class, my instructor said something to the effect of, you know, no artist goes out and just shows the really nasty stuff. They don't show the notes that they made about their thoughts on the side of their drawing. You know, they will crop that stuff off and just show the stuff that feels safe enough to them. And, you know, part of the thing that I like about contemporary art is challenging the pre-existing norms. And so I thought, man, it does feel frightening, but let's see what the impact of that is for me to actually just put it all out.
Yeah.
And try and not hold back. And really, when I did that, it ended up, there's a lot of anxiety leading up to that post button, you know? But as soon as I do, the release from it, because the message I kind of send to myself when I do put those notes in the side, or the drawings that I'm like, dude, that is too much to show people. That when I put that out there, the message I send to myself is that all of me is okay. All of me is good. There's nothing that needs to be hidden.
All of me is okay.
Yeah.
You gotta trademark that.
Yeah.
That is deep. Like, I've seen some of your sculptures, and a lot of them are very abstract.
For sure.
What has been the response from the art community to your work?
Yeah, so it has been really positive. My sculptures, you're right, they are really pretty abstract. You know, I always have some sort of concept that I'm working on that's guiding me. But I really like being able to put my emotional experience into the piece to, you know, like we said earlier, transmute that pain into beauty. But I appreciate the abstract nature because I feel that it allows whoever's looking at it to kind of do the same thing as they're viewing it. It's not incredibly personal towards my experience, So if you look at it, you can relate it to your experience or you as well, and it seems that it is really accessible to everybody regardless of what your previous experiences are.
And not only that, but from a creation standpoint, being that it's abstract is really a reminder that any of us could do this.
Absolutely.
So people who are afraid or who think they're not good artists or they
For
haven't
sure.
done it, that's
Yeah.
a beautiful message.
And I love the fact that you can create these conversations. See, that's art to me, where I look at it, it's not perfect. Like, a lot of people are very good at duplicating what they see.
Yep.
We're in Colorado, we got a lot of landscape drawings. But I don't resonate with that. Other people do, it's great. I'm going hiking if I want to see it.
There's
But
no emotional connection.
that part, there's no emotional connection. It's not sparking a conversation. So if I see like one of your pieces, for example, all three of us can see three different things, and two things can be true at the same time.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And you might see something like that is triggering a dream that I had. You, as the creator, you're like, oh, that's the feminine form and its bare essence. I might look at it and like, yeah, I see a car.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And all three of those are okay because it's sparking our imagination, it's sparking dialogue and conversation, and that's what, to me, art is, at its purest form.
Absolutely.
So salute to you, for doing that.
Thank you.
It sounds like in your journey, you at some point got inspired to want to share art with other people, and so now you're getting more involved with different organizations, part of PPAC, and you're also part of Concrete Couch. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Concrete Couch, they are super near and dear to my heart. They actually, in 2014, they hosted my first ever art show.
Wow.
Steve Wood saw one of my sculptures that was a welded rebar piece and said, hey, can we put some of your art on, at our place, because we work with rebar all the time. We dig it. And so I've been loosely associated with them for about 10 years. And just earlier this year took a position as one of their welding instructors.
Oh, incredible.
And one thing I love about their mission is they're trying to create community through creative practices that are accessible to everybody. It is whatever age, whatever physical ability, whatever monetary level you're at, anybody can come join our stuff and come create. And the thing that I see over and over when people come out to work with us is we will have people come out that are not artists, right?
I love that.
They're not artists, and they come out and they make beautiful art with us, and they leave with this sense of empowerment because they've realized that they have this creative potential that they didn't have before.
It's very therapeutic.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure it has a healing aspect for you watching this happen.
Absolutely, yeah. Like part of my desire when I started working with them is to kind of share this knowledge that I had learned through my own process of, this creative power I have inside of me, and show other people that, man, you've all got that inside of you, and we can all do it. And I just think it's a beautiful thing for sure.
I love
like that.
Yeah.
So, what is Concrete Couch?
Yeah.
Because I know they're building a park out there.
For sure. For sure.
Can you tell us about the park?
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, the organization, the mission statement is something to the effect of creating community through like sustainable creative projects. And it was founded by Steve Wood, who is just an amazing local artist. And we kind of have like two sides of Concrete Couch. We have a lot of public art that we do, schools, government buildings, stuff like that. We love doing mosaic murals. Take kind of dark, drab spots of the city and put colorful tiles all over the wall, make it bright and pretty.
Concrete Couch did the pumpkin downtown, right?
Absolutely,
Very cool.
Yep. That was our pumpkin for sure. And then I guess it was about 5 years ago. We bought a little property over on the south side of downtown that at the time was an encampment for homeless people, and we've been working to revitalize that property, clean it up, and turn it into a community park that is built for and by the community.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about it is we have kind of loosely organized projects that have an end goal, but the how to get there isn't super defined. So we'll have volunteers come out and they get to kind of define how we are doing this. And in the process, they learn all the skills to do those types of creative projects by themselves.
What an opportunity and a good way to feel like you're part of something bigger.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I love the fact that you look around the park. There's two theaters. I'm like, this would be a great place to have a play. And then there's all these like, oh, they used a hubcap and turned into a flower. Just all these little cool things. Everywhere you turn, there's something cool to see. And the fact that y'all made these, and there's a little hiking trail there that leads into is that a little creek or is that
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
It's just under a bridge. I was like, is this a creek? I didn't know. But it's a cool spot to just hang out at.
Yeah.
And the sustainability aspect of it, I love that, trying to lessen our impact, make sure that the things we're doing are adding to the world, not taking away. But it also really ties back into the transmutation of stuff, where we're taking garbage, a broken hubcap, and turning it into a flower, right? And so, I feel that it just resonates really well for that same vision of, you can take it and turn it into whatever you want to. It doesn't have to be garbage. It can be a beautiful flower.
And the message behind that is really about us changing our perspective sometimes when we're kind of in a place in our lives where things can seem really dark and really ugly. When trash can become art, that's
Absolutely.
really inspiring.
It is. And they have kids out there, like I said, people of all ages, doing various projects. And the last time I was out there, I don't know why I never noticed it before. They have chickens out there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why are there chickens here? I want to play with the chickens. But I'm like, no, I'm not going to go chasing chickens. People are like, what are you doing? But it's cool that, y'all have those out there. And I'm like, do y'all eat the eggs?
Well, we actually have 2 roosters, so we haven't gotten any eggs from them yet.
I don't think that's going to happen with these guys.
No, but maybe we'll get some chickens at some point. Yeah, get some eggs from it.
I love this.
They look alike. I'm like, chicken roost. I didn't get that close.
Okay.
I was just surprised when I heard this noise. I'm like, is that a chicken? No, but what projects do Concrete Couch have going on or coming up that you want the public to know about?
So one of the big projects that we started working on last year, that we're going to continue to work on probably for several more years, is a project that we're calling Community Bridges. And it is a collaboration between us and the city and Colorado DOT also, where this year we started doing a large mosaic mural under the MLK bypass. So it's at Circle and Fountain. There's this just ugly concrete bridge that's super dark and dreary and damp underneath it. And we worked with the K-Land Community Association up there and put a bunch of tiles on there. And it was my first large public project that I worked with them, and it allowed me to see the actual impact on the community, where we're sitting there under the bridge putting these tiles up, and every 5 minutes somebody's driving past honking the horn, giving us a thumbs up and saying good job, it's beautiful. And it ended up taking this area that super neglected, nobody cared about, and turning it into something that people are raising their fists and saying, yeah, that's awesome about. And so we're continuing that project next year. We have planned to expand the mural under that bridge and as well as seeking permission to do more bridges around town, and just try and make them as pretty as we can get them.
I like that. I'm not a native here. I'm from Texas. And I've heard of K-Land. I've heard people, say, K-Land a lot. I don't know what K-Land is.
Yeah.
What part of town is it in? And people speak of it with pride.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us a little bit about K-Land?
For sure. So K-Land, I don't know like specific boundaries, but it is kind of the Circle and Fountain southeast area of town.
Okay.
And there is a whole lot of love and passion from all the people that live in that area. And it's an area that honestly the city had kind of neglected for quite some time. Pulled resources out of and started diverting it towards, Briargate,
Yep.
or Broadmoor or whatever. And
that community really suffered.
they did suffer for sure. But again, out of that suffering, the community realized that the city wasn't really giving them the backup that they wanted and that they needed. So they started just backing each other up.
Yeah.
The neighbors just started showing up and saying, if nobody else is going to take care of this place, shit, we live here, we need to be doing that.
And I like that because there's a lot of black and brown people in K-Land. And, the fact that, like you said, we're diverting city funds from this area for Briargate, which is a more uppity, side of town. And, I've heard these stories and I'm just like, wow. And this is not just happening here, this is happening all across the country in different areas.
Indeed. Yeah. I have seen a trend my whole life with when we have areas in a city that get deemed to be kind of a problem area, right? That is exactly the tendency, is to start pulling resources and funds and support away from those areas and diverting it towards other areas that aren't having those problems.
And sort of a, don't look over there, look at this shiny new area.
Exactly. And I just have a disconnect with that whole philosophy of, if we see that an area is struggling, why wouldn't we offer them more resources, more support? And it just seems like a really logical thing to me to do.
These are the conversations that we need to be having, and I think a lot of artists don't realize that as creatives, we have a seat at the table with economic development. We have a seat at the table with businesses, and construction companies. We can be a part of that. For a lot of us, it's just, how do we get into that?
Absolutely. I think just like K-Land, probably the easiest way is just start looking at your neighborhood. Start talking to your neighbors, and seeing what it is that people need. And the more I see like the work of Concrete Couch and how it is not only environmentally sustaining, but it sustains itself from the community support. When the community sees a need, the community just reaches back out to itself and says, who can meet this need? And there's people that show up.
Yes.
There are absolutely people that show up when we have the kind of, courage to stand up and say, this is kind of what the real story of what's going on is, and this is what we want to do to change it.
It does take courage to ask for help, though, and I know with my journey and the history and recovery from substance use, that's one of the first places where we're afraid to ask for help because we're afraid of judgment, and we don't realize there's this big, accepting, judgment-free, compassionate community that's ready to help. We have to make that effort to say something, though.
Absolutely. And I think that the more that we do, the more that we respond to those people that are saying, hey, I need some backup, that we can just like keep that ball rolling and get it snowballing to where hopefully in enough time, everyone they'll kind of lose that fear of asking for help, because they will have seen, hey, you asked for help and you got some help. You asked for help and got some help. I can ask for help and get some help too.
That's right.
And remove that shame and stigma, because really, like us as humans, we need community.
Yep.
Yeah.
We need connection with other humans, and that there's nothing wrong with needing help, with needing support, with needing community. In fact, that is part of what makes us beautiful as humans, is our ability to do that for and with each other.
Exactly. I've been to a couple meetings recently. One was with the Creative Sector Partnership, where a lot of the questions is, how can the city help the art community? And I like the fact that Concrete Couch is partnering with the city to like, hey, this is what we want to do. We just need your funding, your backing, your support.
Your permission, your permits,
And I like the fact that you're terraforming an area and not gentrifying an area.
Ooh.
I love terraforming. I love that word. I absolutely love that idea. Yeah, because it is enhancing it for the community that is already there. It is not trying to change what is there, or to ignore the needs or the problems. It is honoring all of that and saying we love and support you in that. And I love that word, terraforming. That was beautiful.
I like that. Now you said there was two parts to Concrete Couch.
Yeah.
So that's one part. What's the other part?
The other part is our park. So we started building the park about 5 years ago. We officially opened, I get a little bit over a year ago at this point, maybe close to 2. And our park is serving as a hub for all of the public art operations, but it's also serving as kind of a hub for just free creative expression, where we have one of the things that I really appreciate. We've got an artist in residence program, where if local artists want to come out and make some art, we've got a stipend for artists to come out, make art, teach some classes on the property. We have got programs every day that we run, everything from learning how to build and maintain trails to riding and maintaining bicycles. I teach the welding program. We've got a clay program, and all of our programs are 100% completely free. And our director is dedicated that those programs don't cost any money to the community, because the programs are already supported by the community. The community support, the volunteers, the donations. We have everything that we need to run it already, so we don't need the community to pay back in. They're the reason that we're there already. And it is a really cool thing that just opens up so many creative possibilities to people who may not have the space, or may not just have the skills or the tools or the ideas, and we can just help anybody with any of that free of charge, just because you want to make something.
One thing I noticed, because like you said, the area used to be a homeless cabin, is when you go there, you might see some homeless people walking around here and there, but the power tools, the art supplies, everything is still there, and I don't see any damage to the artwork. It's like the homeless community is respecting that space and what y'all are doing with it. That is, I love it, because they're like, hey, you know what? They're not just running us off. They're doing cool things. We like to look at art with people.
I think that's a reflection of Concrete Couch and whoever else is involved in that, by treating the people who are experiencing homelessness as people.
Absolutely.
Not as something that they want to push out, like you said. Of course, there's going to be some reciprocal. What's the word I'm trying to say? Yeah, that.
Residual, people hang. Residual? Okay. All right, residual aftermath of, and y'all didn't just say, go away. They're still, there. And I like the fact they're respecting the land. And it's like, it's cool. They get to enjoy this artwork. Everyone gets to enjoy it. And they're not, because some people are like, oh, if homeless people are just going to destroy things and it's going to smell like pee. And no, none of that.
Yeah.
There's no smells there.
That's making an assumption about, that's using a stereotype.
Yes, and that resonates with me because I've been nearly homeless in the sense that I was in motels and I didn't always have money. Sometimes I'm like, call friends, can I couch surf, for a few days. But I have friends that was their story for 6 months, a year, or many years where they were like, no, I was out in shelters, or I was out on the street, or you see that building over there? I'm like, yeah. They were like, I used to sleep on top of that building every night. And the stigmas that they would get, and a lot of people wouldn't even talk about it years ago that, hey, I used to be homeless. Now people, they're more open to tell that story about that part of their life. And then some of them had a guy, he was like, yeah, got an apartment. We're like, okay, cool, you got an apartment. He's like, yeah, I've been living out of my car for the last 8 months. We're like, why didn't you tell us? He was like, I was okay. I had my car. I had a Planet Fitness membership, and he came to work every day. And people don't realize, just because you're homeless don't mean you don't have a job.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
I get passionate about that because, you
Me
see so
too.
many people that put stigmas on people that
Put
are
labels.
homeless and labels. Oh, they're this way, they're all on drugs. And, I'm like, okay, are you helping them?
They are all people,
Yeah.
and they all
Absolutely.
have value. So
And we're in a military town, so you got a lot of vets that unfortunately are homeless. And, people are like, oh, there's programs. Program might be way over there across town.
Right.
How are they going to get there? Are you picking them up? No.
right.
Yeah, for sure. That is something that I love about that also. Kind of the way that we have been looking at it. I mean, the proximity of the park, I think we're probably half a mile from the Springs Rescue Mission. And we're in between the jail and the Springs Rescue Mission. There is a constant traffic kind of back and forth. And, instead of saying, let's put up fences, let's put up some barbed wire, let's put up some security lights. What we decided to do is we have caretakers that stay on the property that are formerly housing challenged individuals, right? And so they understand from a very intimate perspective what all of those people are going through, very intimate and compassionate perspective. And so we try and work harmonious with those people because they are our community also.
Yep.
Like, I mean, they're literally living all around our park. For us to say, you don't belong here would be very much against all of our kind of principles.
Yes.
They do live there. Whether they have an address they can write on a piece of paper or not, it's absolutely their neighborhood.
Yep.
And we don't have any desire to kick anybody out. And the more that we operate like that, the more that we see that, those individuals, they return that respect right back because they see that the way we look at them is not one of judgment, it is just one of acceptance. And they don't come steal stuff, they don't come break stuff because we don't make it a adversarial thing. We make it you are welcome, and like we've got one of the things I really appreciate over there is we've got a clothing closet that's left unlocked. People come drop clothes off, and homeless people walk through the park and stop, grab a new pair of shoes, grab a jacket, whatever. And if they stop and ask us for whatever, man, we'll give them whatever we can, because we are super super aware that everyone has challenges.
Yeah, and you summed it up perfectly. They are our community.
Yeah.
We are friends and neighbors.
Yep.
And that's it.
Absolutely.
How can people get involved? Did you want to say something?
No.
Oh. How can people get involved with Concrete Couch? Where can they find information on that?
Yeah, so we've got a webpage. It's concretecouch.org that kind of lists all of our events, our schedules and everything. But also we've been getting really big into social media lately.
Good.
Trying to get out there. So, give us a follow on Instagram, Facebook. I think we started Threads now. So
okay.
we're just
I'm still not there.
I'm me either, right? Like I'm still getting to manage on Instagram. But we are kind of all over the place at this point. And then, the park, it is open every day from dawn to dusk. So people can just come down to the park. There's always somebody there. It's 1100 South Royer is the actual address of the park.
Very cool.
And so there's lots of ways to get a hold of us. You know, if you want to do some welding, Dustin at Concrete Couch.
All right, yes.
And yeah, message me and come do some welding.
That would be cool.
I think
And
so too.
One thing I saw just visiting there, people just pick up trash and just put it, just like, why are you here? Are you a volunteer? No, I just love this park and I just want to keep it clean. And they'll just go there just to pick up some leftover trash and throw it away. And I love that.
Absolutely. We've got one of the things that I have seen over and over is groups come out to use. We've got a 9-hole disc golf course on the park.
Okay.
And it goes around the whole like 7-acre park. And they'll grab a trash bag with their frisbee as they go out, and they'll come back with a full trash bag. And like that just seems like a beautiful exchange.
Yeah,
Get to
it
walk
is.
around the park, have a great time, and help make it a little bit prettier at the same time. Really reciprocal relationship.
Really
Now,
beautiful.
before we wrap up, what projects do you have coming up? Is your art on display currently? Do you have any gallery shows or shows anywhere coming up?
Yeah. So I have some stuff that is at the East Library for the Pikes Peak Art Council member show that's going on right now. And the next thing I have coming up is I have a show that is going to be at the Manitou Art Center in March.
Oh, yeah.
We are doing a creation show. So I'll be working on creating light for that.
Nice.
That is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I love the Manitou Art Center because it feels artsy. It feels like a bunch of artists are running this.
Yep.
And, it's not perfect. And, it's just art. I love it.
It feels real.
It
Yeah,
feels
not
fancy,
corporate.
but not
Yeah.
intimidating. Yeah.
For sure. Yep, absolutely.
Now, we talked about where to find Concrete Couch on social media. Where can people find you?
At Dustin Makes is my Instagram. Dustin Cunningham on Facebook. DustinCunningham.art is my webpage, which desperately needs to be updated, but is up nonetheless. I love collaborations with any kind of creative individuals. Helping out with ideas any way that I can. So if anybody wants to reach out to me with any ideas, any projects, or needs any help or any backup, I would love to hear.
I love that. Yes.
I knew she was going to say that.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's it for this episode of Creative Takeover. I'm Art the Poet. That's Caitlin and Elizabeth. And this is Dustin.
Stay creative.
Appreciate y'all. Peace and love.